Okay, so hello and welcome to another part of my Golang StarCraft II data processing library or project, which is aimed for my research purposes of creating a data set out of StarCraft II replays. Anyway, today I have a couple of things planned for how the stream, how the recording, how the YouTube video is going to go. So if you are interested in how to do some interesting stuff in Golang, feel free to stay with me. And what I will be doing today is to introduce a couple of command line flags that will allow me to either bypass the anonymization process and filtering process and so on in order to output information which was not tampered with, so that I can later on see and check if there is any differences between the untampered data and the tampered data or processed data, and so that I will have more information available and there will be just more features for the end user to choose from if they want to process their own data sets and their own replays and their own StarCraft II files. So for today's, I have that stuff written on the classical way on paper. I'll be adding a flag that will help me, that will allow me to go and just basically bypass the cleaning of the replay. So this is here within the pipeline. I need to add a flag that will allow me to bypass this. Apart from this one, I also want to be able to bypass the anonymization functions which are in pipeline, and let me find them for you guys. It's here within pipeline. We have, I think, within the clean replay, maybe, or I don't really know where that is, but I need to find it. Oh, that's kind of horrible. I know where the functions are. It's here, anonymized replay. Anonymized replay indeed is called within the pipeline, so we want to be able to bypass this one as well. Also, what I need to do is to check within the main file if the game mode hex is within the range of 0x and all the zeros up to all Fs, right? I believe. And so, yeah, that's the plan for the stream. If you haven't watched the previous parts, like part 1, 2 and 3, then I would encourage you to start with the part 1 where I explain what is the purpose of the software and then move up through the parts. I think that this series will contain around 10 parts, so that I am able to solve all of the problems that were introduced or that are not yet solved within this software. And finally, it will be released on GitHub, and it will be released as a citable research or scientific tool, scientific software, which will require citation over. Okay, so now we can move to adding the flags that are required for me to either bypass a certain anonymization or processing parts of the program. And so let's just call it bypass cleanup flag, and this will be equal to flag.boolean.bool, right? And this will be called bypass cleanup, which will be set to true for my testing purposes. And the usage is: please provide if the tool is supposed to bypass the cleaning functions within the pipeline, processing pipeline. Alright, so this is one of the flags, and right now the Golang analyzer is kind of not happy because we are not using this. Like, bypass cleanup flag is declared but not used, but we don't care about that, so we continue and we define anonymize or bypass anonymization. Bypass anonymization, which once again is a boolean flag, and we have a typo there. So bypass anonymization. This is also, for my case currently, should be equal to true. Later on I will be changing those default values for debugging purposes, for sure, in here, instead of passing them as parameters within the debug config. Or I will see, because I can also define a debug config, which is not a problem, but it's, you know, changing two things here might be easier for a kind of hacky solution. But let's go and like, please, or just without the please. It's like, why would I include the please in there? Like, provide if the tool is supposed to bypass the anonymization functions within the processing pipeline. And this is required for me so that later on I can just verify stuff. And for example, some people might not need to delete the chat messages, which I do within anonymizing functions. The same goes for like unused information, which is technically not needed by me, but someone might want to use it, and just for the need of that, I want to be able to bypass certain information. So right now, let's just convert that stuff below, which will be probably here, and let's just this needs to be called a flag as well. So bypass anonymization bool is equal to bypass anonymization. Same goes for this one. Bypass cleanup flag. And below we'll have to introduce that to the pipeline at certain points. And I would like this to be within a certain order, which for this will be clean replay. I will reorder the arguments so that they fit the order of the processing. So first off, I believe that we check the integrity, so this one is important. Then we need to pass the game mode check flag just after the integrity check, because it's also done within the same function, so the order needs to be, you know, kept correctly. Or I should choose to include a tuple here with those arguments somehow. Maybe I will do that later on, but for now I know that I need to add two booleans, which will be bypass anonymization and bypass cleanup. So let's just do that here. This is a bool, and we are going to add this as a boolean as well. And I believe that I should possibly just make this format of this a little better if Golang will allow me. Indeed, Golang allows for that. And here as well. Because, you know, it was not readable, and I want my code to be a little more readable even for me. But I wonder if I can make this aligned a little better. Not really, Golang forces me to get this specific formatting here. So let's check it out. Right now we also need to fix the ordering of the arguments within the pipeline, so I would like to probably use named. Can I use named arguments? So let's check how to use named arguments within Golang. Okay, so it seems that it's not possible for me to do what I want here within Golang, or at least not possible to do that easily. And so I will be just changing the ordering by hand, which is, you know, usually, and like in Python, I would use named arguments within my function call, and it would be enough. But here, let's just take care of this manually. So first, I pass down the replay file, then players anonymized, which didn't change, but then I need to have integrity check boolean, which might not be the case for the current state of things. So this one precisely needs to be before this. In here, later on, the game mode flag needs to be. Currently, what I am missing here is that there is another 2 more flags or 2 more booleans that need to be added in here, and those need to be added after the check game mode check flag. So just right after here, we need to add 2, and one is this, and another one is bypass cleanup bool. Right, so currently I don't know what's happening in here. Cannot use this. Okay. So we have localized maps. Should be at the end. So this one needs to be just in here. And now it looks like it's correct. So we have players anonymized, then we have the integrity check bool, then we have filter game mode flag, or game mode check flag like it's called in there, then we have bypass anonymization boolean, then we have bypassing the cleanup, then we have localizing maps and that information. Let's just hope that Golang allows me to have it formatted like so. Let's see if Golang is fixing it. Yeah, it does. So it doesn't really allow me to have a slightly better format that would increase readability of the code, but you know, because the data proc pipeline is called here, so I would suspect the arguments to be here where my cursor lies on the screen, but well, it's just my preference. But this is still better than having that in a one-liner, very long one-liner. So now what I need to have is basically we need to be bypassing stuff, which is like, so if you want to omit cleaning the structure of the replay, then we need to just bypass this one. But let me see what this is really. Yeah, so I'm redefining the replay structure within that. So I need to also pass this within here. So within this function, I need to have a boolean as well. So bypass cleanup bool is boolean as well, and this will be in here. So if we set the bypass cleanup boolean to be true here, then we'll perform the cleanup, and if not, then we will just continue with the execution of the program. So let's add logging in here, which basically will be detected bypass cleanup bool. So that's one place we need to add this, and as here as well. So bypass cleanup bool needs to be passed in here. Apart from that, the anonymization, we also need to be able to bypass this one potentially. And in order to bypass this one, we will just define that here, because within the anonymized replay there is only anonymization logic, and if so, then we can do that straight up in here. So let's go and log that as well, and let's say that make it similar to last one, which is clean replay. So yeah, let's go detected the boolean, performing anonymization. And hopefully this allows me to have everything. Okay, so now what I will try and do is run the program with the new logic introduced, and this is bypass cleanup and bypass anonymization. We have two test replays here which were processed with the cleanup and anonymization, and we later on will compare the outputs. So let's just run it and see if it works. And it seems that it doesn't, because there is no logging, there is no information. And let's see, where does it fail? If it just... what is happening here? See, like we have process exiting with code 0 without logging any kind of... Okay, so this is the problem here, that you can see the filter game mode flag does not pass these checks, which for me, let's just comment them out, because this is not required at this step. I need to figure out what's the problem within here, what's the problem here, why those why those operators are not working for the values that I've introduced. But anyway, let's just run it without this, and let's just remove all breakpoints. And it seems that it works, but let's just verify and check. We need to rename the files for sure, because while unpacking I don't have the choice to do anything. Okay, so supposedly we have something which is not cleaned and not anonymized, but this is not the case in here. I don't know why. See? this information is technically incorrect. So let's do a trick and delete the packages that were created. Let's leave the test information and let's run it again and see if anything changes, because these values... Okay, I think I know the problem, because technically I am checking if this is true and this is true, which then it proceeds and cleans the stuff up. So I need just to switch the logic, and if this is false, then I need to which is technically not the way I intended it to work. But I believe that if I want to bypass anonymization, maybe let's call it perform. So we'll rename it to perform anonymization and cleanup, so that I have a clear information in here. And in clean, also need to switch the boolean here and go for perform. So perform cleanup, and right now this should work as intended. So let's just run it again. So it creates the packages. We open one of them, let's extract the file, and let's check if the file indeed is not cleaned up or anonymized. And yes, indeed, we have successfully bypassed the anonymization and the cleanup. So we have the unique identifiers of 2 players and so on, which is just what I want. Okay, so let's sum everything up. And today I have performed some stuff that allowed me to bypass anonymization. So let's say that we have a replay and you are the user of my data processing library. So you pass down the replay to the currently it's like Go SC2 Science, which is a data processing library. And in order for me to allow you to do the stuff that I explained in part 1, so like for example, you want to be able to filter, you want to be able to either anonymize versus non-anonymize. You want to be able to clean the structure or leave it as it is. Yeah? Or leave it as it is. And so I'm just giving more control to the end user with some default values if you are going to omit passing down the arguments to the command line, which for me the defaults will be to indeed anonymize and clean the structure. So for my needs I will be using both of those. I will be anonymizing and cleaning the structure. Then you have the choice to either perform the integrity checks. So integrity checks. Also you can set them true or false, and well, I think it will just be a nice way of allowing users to have more control. So if you have any comments or if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section on YouTube. If you are watching this live, then it's also nice for me to have you here. And if you're not, feel free to follow my social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and so on. I'm always posting new stuff in there. so that you might maybe learn something or just code along with me, learn new stuff with me. So thank you very much for watching this particular video, part 4 if I remember correctly, and see ya.